Hi guys, welcome to Toyland. I'm sitting here because it's really the best lighting in my house at this time of day. Unfortunately, my kitchen and the windows don't line up exactly the way that I want them to for videos in the afternoon, which is usually when I get to do them. But anyways, you can see all the stuff that Dalton has been playing with. This is Scout. He sings, and all this other stuff. My dad brought over my old farm village yesterday. I used to play with it when I was a little girl, and so, anyways, now it's back in my living room. But I'm going to sit here to chat with you about a few things that are going on that I want to let you know about, and to talk about Fueled and Focused, and sort of this idea that what you do with your food, what you do with your health, what you do with your diet, that it can actually just be really easy. And how we've been taught to believe otherwise, and we've been taught to believe that there's something hard to figure out, that there's something that we maybe don't know, that there's some missing link or something's wrong with us, or I don't know, just that it's confusing or hard, but really it isn't. And this is really the foundation that I teach and that I really want you guys to know too, so that you are empowered and that you are confident and that you do just get it and you do just know what you need better than anybody else. So for so long, for so many years, and I wrote this in my post today, it was about being addicted to pretzels, or sugar in general, that it was like there was always some missing link or something that I still was like needing to learn or figure out before I could just have this like freedom with the way that I ate, and trust that in that freedom with the way that I ate, that I would also be able to have what I wanted. And what I wanted was to feel strong, to feel lean, to look a certain way, to like the way that my clothes fit. I essentially wanted to have what I had without torturing myself, because even back when I was addicted to like sugar and all this stuff, like I was able to keep myself in shape because I tried so hard. And it was like this theme that was carried all through different areas of my life, that you like, how could it be so easy that you just like eat what you want and it tastes good, and then somehow miraculously you also just get this body that you really want too. It's like there's some kind of gap between them. Whoa, that's weird. The light reflected. And lots of us believe that. And I mean, if you look out in the food world, there's still all these people that are like doing these hardcore restrictive things, like cutting out all carbohydrates and making it so hard by like having to look at grams of things, like looking at labels, to the point where I totally believe in looking at labels, but it's more of a scan for, is this safe or is this not safe? Where you might have already done this in the past, or know people that do, or maybe you still are doing this thing where you're like measuring calories, or the more modern thing now is macros, and like trying to get it right, like trying to get certain amount of protein or a certain amount of fat or a certain amount of carbs or not certain amount of carbs. And you guys, like, you don't have to do that unless you resonate with that so specifically and so much that that sounds like, yes, freedom to you. Like that sounds like a sigh of relief. Like that's actually kind of what we're talking about here. For me, I always just wanted to know, like, what's the real deal? Like what's going on? Like why what even in food would make someone continue to want to eat it when the outcome was negative, when the outcome was you feel like so full or bloated or gross? And there's obviously the tie-in with your mind and your brain and your mindset in these areas too, right? Because you're only taking the action from the place that matches your vibration. And so if your vibration is that you are believing that this has to be difficult for you, that it has to be hard to stay in shape, or it has to be hard to be thin, or it has to be hard to get thin, or to lose weight, or to feel healthy, or to know what to do, because see, this goes on and on and on, then you would have to act that out in your life, because that's all that's happening. If you look around and you're like, oh, well, the situation that I have going on with the way that I eat, or the way that I don't eat, or the way that I work out, or the way that I don't work out, or the way that my health is or isn't, that's all a pattern. And what I'm wanting to teach you guys is that you can interrupt the pattern. And a huge factor in interrupting the pattern is knowing what's real and knowing what's true. And so what I do and what I coach on essentially is bringing light to what's actually real with the physical elements of your body and the physicalness of foods. So that's the first pillar, right? Because if you know that, you have clarity. And from clarity, you can make an easier decision. You can take a more decisive action, which is what you need when you're moving forward into something that's new and different than what you have been doing. So just this basic understanding that, you know, the body works like XYZ, foods do this and this and this. And here's why you want to eat these certain things in the morning or not. Or, you know, there's just so many confusing trends and myths. So that's part of it. Like, we break it all down, and you can ask me anything. And if you watch this later and you want to ask me stuff now, go for it. I love to answer questions about this. But you basically need to know the answers to your questions that have been tripping you up and confusing you first. And maybe you just don't know a whole lot about this subject, yet you still have the desire to have an outcome, or you still have the desire to not be confused, then that's equally important. And so that's the first piece of the way that I look at this stuff, and the way that I teach, and the way that I coach, is just to tell you how it is. So then you can go forward in making the decisions that you do make with how you eat and what to eat and what's right for you, what's better for you than something else might be than for someone else. You get to base that first off of truth. So truth and integrity, like, these are some of my core values. And so that's why it's both very clear for me, and then also why sometimes people probably look at me as like kind of extreme in this area. And I guess maybe I am, but it's just like, it doesn't feel extreme to me. It just feels like common sense, because it's just like, you know, you go put gas in your car, you don't go put, you know, leaves in your car. Like, that's the way that food is in my head and in my mind now. So the decisions there are much easier than when I was talking about this post that I wrote earlier about how I would make myself put 17 rolled gold pretzels in little containers and then put them in my pantry so that I wouldn't eat out of the bag, but then I would still go back and end up eating all of them. That was because I had an addiction to the sugar. I had a pattern of going into the sugar. So there is this physical addiction, but then there's also just this conditioning that happens with your body, where your body starts to become the one in control instead of your mind. So you might have all the best intentions of saying, no, we're not doing that anymore, but you have to be able to back it up. So you have to be able to back it up with the work of catching yourself in those beliefs and that pattern of thought before you get into the action. Because when you're in the middle of it, like you're standing in front of your pantry, like ready to open the bag, or you've opened the bag, it's a lot harder to stop then. So what you really need to do is to get ahead of it. And one of the first things to do to get ahead of it is to see it for what it is. So to see these packaged foods, these ingredients, as what they do for you, what they don't do for you, how they slow you down instead of speed you up. And it becomes so much easier then to be like, oh, well, I want to fit in these jeans, or I want to wear this sparkly holiday dress this year. or I want to go on vacation and get in the pool with my kids instead of not getting in the pool because of how I don't feel or look good or feel like I want to be in my swimming suit or not, right? Because when you have that desire, you have that end goal and intention, and it's strong enough for you, then you are going to be willing to do the work. And it is just a lot easier when you see the truth about this stuff and you can see how it is easy. It is actually easy when you just see that you can put in this food, this food, this food, in this way, this way, this way, in a way that tastes really good, that it isn't torturous to you. You don't have to count the pretzels. You don't have to count the macros of whatever, protein. You don't have to measure it on a scale. You can trust yourself. You can trust that when you stick to these foods that actually are the real ones, that is the major priority. That's the underlying necessity of this whole thing. And that when you start to do that, that will be enough of a shift to help you feel a difference. And then it's really about getting familiar with these other areas of food, like where's your body right now? What do you want from it that it isn't doing or being right now? And that's where I come in and I can help you identify, okay, well, it's because of like this past habit or pattern or intake or lack of, because sometimes that's it too. Like I'm telling you, you'll probably be eating more, way more than you eat now. I mean, I was going to do this post about like everything that I eat or have already eaten today. And it's a lot. And sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, I'm really eating a lot. But then you can tell if it's quality or not because your fullness will dissipate a lot faster when you're eating light foods. Light foods are energetically active. They're the ones that do the stuff for you, that get you the results. So they don't sit in your gut. They don't just like, sit there and collect bacteria and cause bloating and stuff. That's a different thing. Like that's a sluggish gut or whatever. And I have different coaching not just for that, but real light foods, they move fast. And that's why they can move you into faster results as well, because they have things to do and they know what those things to do are, and they just go and do them, and you don't have to control it. You don't have to be so worried. You don't have to be so fearful of, are you doing it right? Are you doing it wrong? Are you messing it up? Even if you eat more than you need, it's not really as big of a deal as if you overeat the pretzels. Like I used to eat the whole bag and then feel full for 16 hours or something, for sure, until the next morning. Into my workouts, I would still feel yuck, sluggish, because that wasn't real. That wasn't real. That wasn't real food. That was man-made. That was basically pulled apart refined flour packaged into little sticks with salt on it. That became very addictive. And so I had to learn, because of what happened in my body when I went through IVF, that all of that background feeding of myself that I was doing without knowledge was actually the problem. Not that IVF wasn't a whole thing, but the food had to be in place for me to change, for me to get better. And this eye-opening of oh, this does this and that does that. And actually it's okay to have, it's okay to have fruit and smoothies. It's okay to eat a big, huge plate of things. It's okay if you want to eat some protein, and it's okay if you don't. But there's just certain foods that won't work in the body, especially if you just, for me, I like to do things really fast. I don't like to wait around. I'm not patient. So, and I don't want you to have to be patient either. And the thing is, if you just do the things your body is asking of you, to be free from sugar, to be free from chemicals and false foods, fake foods, and you can line up with it. You line up with it physically first, and then you line up with the rest of it, or you work on it all together, right? Because this is how it becomes easy. So number one, you have to understand what works and what won't. So that's the piece about how the body works and how to match it. And that makes it a lot easier. Clarification, clarity of like rules about diet and food and trends, okay? It's really not hard. And then you have to also start to see and believe that you've had thoughts in the past that have got you to the point that you are. So, because if you totally for sure believed all the way through your subconscious that it was easy to be healthy and fit and lean and look the way you want and weigh the amount you want or the size, then you would have that already. So you're like, most people are like running in circles, making themselves do a lot of weird, strange things just because they think they have to. But the hardest piece is sometimes knowing that, no, it's actually supposed to be easy. It is possible to eat the exact way that you want and like it and have the body you want and have the health that you want. It is possible, but you have to like learn how to get behind that. You have to see where you don't believe that, or where you're maybe doubting that, or where your past experiences have been showing you that. But it's all in motion already. Like none of this is stagnant. None of this is the same. If you feel like you have been getting the same results and doing the same things, well, that's probably true, right? Because you will, my foot just fell asleep, you guys. You will, unless you change what you're doing and the way, the energy behind what you're doing it, you will just keep getting the same results. So there's a couple different areas here too. You could be eating like a beautiful diet, but not getting results. And your change needs to come inside in your head. And then that might lead you to make small changes or whatever. But for most people, it's that the outer actions aren't so cleaned up. Like you might know what to do, but you just sabotage or you don't do it, or maybe you don't exactly know. But again, it's coming from inside first. It's coming from what you are believing, what you think is possible, what you want, what you don't want. And so that needs to match what you desire that you don't have right now. So you have to clear all that stuff away, and then it's so easy. Like I'll tell you the times in my life that it's been the easiest for me to drop weight or get in shape have always been the fastest and the easiest when I wasn't freaking out about stuff. Like I have like multiple stories about this. Like one, when I ran my marathon, this was 2005, and this was before I knew anything about health and food. So I'm going to tell you this, but I also don't want to tell you this because this is how powerful the mind is, right? So I want you to do it the right way, and I want you to choose what is safe and good for you, just because I know that the long-term benefit and effect is so powerful, and that because we're humans and we live in this world, that there's so many other things that influence our health and our bodies that it's like we just can't risk like eating the stuff that literally can and does come in and alter our genes. When we're talking about GMO food and that kind of stuff, it's not a good idea. So I'll tell you that first. But this story, 2005, I didn't know. I didn't understand any of that. I didn't have a reason to. So, but I was at the end of my training for my marathon, and I almost trained a little bit too long. So I think it was like almost 6 months. It was like July to December, early December. And I had been in shape like running, and through the summer, like I always feel like more in shape in the summer because I'm meant to be in the direct light. That's just part of my design that I know now. But it was getting colder. So, like when it's colder, you just like eat more. I remember we did this like Friends Thanksgiving at my condo, at my townhouse. And I had run 20 miles that morning. It was my last 20-mile run. And I remember at the end, like I did well. Like I had plenty of energy. So my training and my endurance was there. But then I went home and I was like doing all this stuff. My friends were over. I remember I got so tired. But I was like eating all this like sugar. It was sugar basically, you guys. So like I used to make all the time the most horrible stuff. Like you guys don't even know. I would make angel food cakes, jello cakes in 9 by 13 pans, and I would eat so much of it after I worked out because I was so hungry. And then I would feel like shit. But anyways, that was one thing. And then remember those, they still make them, like those graham cracker crusts. And my mom taught me from Weight Watchers, like how to use the yogurt and the jello thing to make like this pie in the fridge or the freezer with Cool Whip. So what I had done is made like this pumpkin graham cracker pie for my friend's Thanksgiving thing. And like just been eating too much of that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard. And this is usually what would happen to me in the past. When the first time I ever lost weight was when I was after like my sophomore year of college. I came home for the summer and I was like, I'm so tired of going to the gym and trying so hard and getting no results. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe it's because I eat marshmallows out of the bag, which it was. Yeah. So that was like the first time. But I would come to a point of like, I'm tired of this being hard, right? Like it should be easier. It should be easier, especially when people are like working out and not even working out because they hate working out and they like working out like I was, and I always have loved doing that and burning energy basically. I love to get rid of energy. I just have a lot of it. So I was doing it from a good place, and I was training for a marathon because I wanted to. I wasn't training for a marathon to get it to be like skinny or anything. I just wanted to, and I wanted to run in Hawaii, which I was going to do. But I was like, what is going on? And like I had probably was, I don't know, like 5 or so pounds heavier than I wanted to be. And when you're running, that's significant. Like that's significant on your knees and your ankles and your joints and whatever. But for me, I wasn't even so much thinking about that as I was thinking about it's a head game. A marathon is all mindset. I mean, you have to train, like don't be an idiot. So, but I had done that. I had done all the training, and I just knew that if I didn't change anything about myself and in my physical self before I got there and I got to that race, that I would be so like angry at myself the whole time for not just letting myself have it be easy and not doing what I knew that I needed to do. So I did. Like that's the power too of making a decision and just saying like, I'm not going to eat this stuff anymore. I'm not going to make it hard on myself, because I always have known, like at least the method to get results in your body, it isn't hard. You just have to get good foods in, and you have to get the bad foods out, and then you have to find something you love to do and do it, and you have to do all of this from a place of knowing that it will work. And so I knew it would work, and I think I had less than 2 weeks before I left, and all I did was like decide, and then I did. Like I felt very lean for my marathon, and it was like you blink and the weight goes away. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be so hard. So the only other ways where it can get harder is when it comes from limitations that you put into yourself because of your mind, and or how then those manifest into your body as like blockages or things within your system that your body is telling you weight loss isn't my priority because these other things need support. These other areas that need support would be your adrenals and your thyroid and your liver, okay? So if your body is telling you that, then again, you need to focus on the right foods, and you need to focus on the clean foods and the pure foods. And the beauty of the way that I teach this, that's why I teach plant-based, is because all of the plants heal, all of the plants transform. There is like an energy and a science and a method, a give and a take to tailoring this stuff to you based on your specific situation. But you don't, even if you didn't know all of that, even if you were, just needing to know this on your own, You just have to know that all of the plants support that. All of the plants will feed you and fuel you. If you believe they will, they will. And you get enough of them in, and you don't come at them from a, well, I guess I can eat all the plants, but I better eat like a salad with spinach, and I still better put protein on it, and I better not, have too much or this and that. Like, there's so many things that float around in our heads that make it harder than it's supposed to be. So this is the good thing about how it can be easy for you. So it can be easy for you because, one, I'm going to teach it to you in Fueled and Focused. It's what I want everyone in the world, especially the United States, to know, and especially if you are a mother or you have influence over anyone else, which all the women do. Women are the most powerful. So I want you guys to know this so that you can, live it out. So you can choose what you buy in the stores, and you can just have confidence and faith in knowing that it's all, first of all, safe. Second, that it works. Third, that you like it and tastes good, and that you get to understand this. You get to understand your own body, your own health. You understand food. You understand what you need. You understand the ins and the outs, how to adjust, because you're not ever going to be exactly the same. You're so dynamic because you're human, and energy always moves. But you also understand this because you get to feed your kids, and you get to teach them this stuff, because until it is in all of the schools, somebody has to teach it to them, So that's what I wanted to talk about. It is actually easy. There isn't a ton of like weird sciencey like things that you have to figure out. It's all basic concepts, and it will work for one human just like the other. But that is why I pull in the coaching and the thought processes and the energy processes, and that's why I'm running this course live. So our first call is Friday, so it's 6 weeks, so it'll be really good, November, December. And it is online content, so I'm so happy to like have it in this platform to show you guys like the formulas that go along with these different ways of eating, for the formulas for your morning routine, the formulas for making these different types of recipes for lunches and for snacks, and what about snacks, and like, do you need them, and what's in them, and why, and when, and all that stuff. And then all these recipes and all these ways that you then can create more on your own, because I think it's really boring if someone just is like, here's your food plan, you better eat this. I'm going to be giving you my master grocery list. I'm going to be giving you new foods that go with each lesson each week. That's just the food part though. So the food part is, here's what we're focusing on for the food formulas, and here's how it works in your body, and here's the foods we're doing recipes with, and maybe they'll be new for you because we're doing so many different vegetables and fruits and herbs and seasonings, because the more familiar it is, the more you'll just go back to it on your own, and you won't, you'll just have more options. So I said this like the other day. The reason that I think that eating healthy and cooking healthy is easier for me now is because I'm not so limited in like only understanding how to cook carrots or green beans or a potato, right? I can go into the store and look at any vegetable and know things to do with it. And so that's what I want to show you guys too, because then it just opens up, 10-minute dinners, 12-minute dinners, whatever. Like, you think you have no food in the house and you can make a good dinner, like that's how it will be. But I'm also going to do live calls so that you can come to those with whatever is happening in your body and your health, and I'm there to coach you on it or to help you find your strategy within this big frame of plant-based eating of what do you need to be doing first, because it's not like you need to overhaul everything and go buy fennel and golden beets and thyme and like learn how to use all these things and a juicer, and maybe you have one, I don't know, but it's not that. It's like, it's finding where's the biggest trip up and how do we like navigate that to get around it, so that that like, yeah, it's just step by step, and you get to change these little things, and they make all the difference. Okay, so that's what it is. Let me put the link in. It is going to be really fun. We have a good group in so far, and like I said, we're going to do a little first call on Friday. So when you join, you'll get added to the membership site, and you'll get to look at the orientation lesson and the first lesson, pin. And there's also a big recipe database, so that you just have access to that all the way throughout. And then you'll get added to the private Facebook group, and that's where we're going to be doing our calls there or on Zoom. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Happy to answer. And I am going to go get Dalton from my parents' house and let him pick up his toys. So thanks for watching. Tag me with questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.